Hello and welcome to DNQ Football. As you know by now, the World Cup has expanded from 32 teams to 48. Did you know this? Were you aware of this phenomena? This has drastically increased the number of qualification places we've seen from lots of different regions. And this video is part of our mini series, if you want to call it that, on how the qualification formats have changed from regions all around the world. We've done Africa and we've done Asia so far. Those are the two, Ryan, that sort of...
Can you view them here?
You can view them just there, just above Ryan. And those two are for the qualification stages that have already kicked off. Of course, we've already seen Asia round 1, and in November 2023, we will see CAF and Asia round 2. So Africa and Asia fully underway. But now we're going to move on to the Concacaf region, and a region which used to have 3.5 places, now 6.5.5, 6 and 2 into the Interconfed.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's the easiest way to phrase it. But, Ryan, because they've removed the place that the host used to get, and it comes from the region, Concacaf, hosting the US, Mexico, and Canada, they only get 3 places, plus the 2 Interconfed. How do you, before we get into the rest of the teams and how it all works, how do you feel about that? We've got 32 teams competing in qualification, only 3 of them getting a full spot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of teams for not a lot of sort of final spots. It's interesting, and I know we're talking about this specifically about 2026 World Cup qualification. So this first point is going to be a mute one, but I'm going to be really interested to see how they do rework this format for the 2030 World Cup when 3 of the teams are not already taken up by the host. It's it's tricky, because you could look at it and you'd be like, well, hold on, you could go from 4 nations at 2022, US, Mexico, Canada, Costa Rica. 3 of those 4 are now hosting the 2026 World Cup, so they're going to be there. So the 3.5 spots, they had all 4 at 2022, has in theory for 2026 gone to 3 that are guaranteed, plus the 3, plus the 2 Interconfed. So that they could have up to 8. So they could, in theory, double the amount of CONCACAF teams on the world's biggest stage. But the fact that only 3 are guaranteed through the qualification process for the remaining 40 teams, I don't know how many teams are remaining.
So there's 32 teams competing in the qualification stages. Of course, there are more than that in the Nations League. So there's over 40 in the Nations League, but a number of them aren't FIFA registered. So it's only the 32 FIFA registered nations that are competing. And in fact, they'll flash up on your screen. Now, there you go. These are the 32 nations competing that will join the US, Canada, and Mexico in 2026. Potentially, of course, only 3 and then maybe 2 more will get there.
Now, it's an interesting format, isn't it, this one? And it's, as I've already mentioned, this could, because of Canada, US, and Mexico, the hosts of the 2026 World Cup, they won't get that automatic spot for the next one. So there's a very good chance that in 4 years' time, my friend, when we're still recording these kind of videos, that we're going to be talking about a completely different format to the one that we're about to talk about now. So they would have gone from a 2022 format that would have changed a lot for a 2026 format that is very likely to change again for the 2030 format. Let's talk through the CONCACAF qualification format for the 2026 World Cup, because there are some changes. How do you want to run through it, mate?
We'll run through round by round, give our comments and loose predictions for the first round. We don't know what 2 and 3 are going to look like yet. And of course, this qualification does not kick off. And despite the fact that the video is going out now in November 23, this won't change going through the process. And the qualification doesn't start until March 2024. The first major shock, Ryan, Qatar aren't competing in this one. CONCACAF, they're trying to get them into everything. They probably are. The Qatar Airways CONCACAF World Cup qualification.
Their logo will be somewhere.
Hilarious.
I've never seen the Qatar Airways logo. I've never seen the logo at so many sporting events. It's insane. It was quite funny though, wasn't it? When it's CONCACAF Nations League, like a League C game against the British Virgin Islands, against Anguilla or whatever it is, Qatar Airways on it. It's funny anyway. Anyway, we digress, mate. Let's go round 1. Talk us through it.
Well, let's get into round 1, and we're back with the visuals.
The graphics.
graphics, they're out. They're out in full
Don't
force.
sleep on this production.
Oh, the production value is so high. And you know what? If that's not worth a subscribe, then I don't know what
Subscribe or a
is.
like.
All of them. Subscribe, like, and comment
Do it
as
all.
well.
Fantastic.
Do all of it. Round one. The 4 teams you see there, 99% sure this is, 99% sure. These are the 4 lowest ranked teams in Concacaf. And
Yep.
after the November international break, the 4 lowest ranked teams will go into round one. They will be drawn in the format of top versus bottom, and then the 2 middle, like a playoff stage in the championship or something like that, a league format that you'd be familiar with. I say 99%. Bahamas are 199 in the world. I do not believe that based on the points coefficient, Turks and Caicos Islands can overtake them and Bahamas can drop in. The other teams certainly can't. They're just too low. So I'm saying that these are the 4, and I'm also suggesting that the matchup is going to be Anguilla, Turks and Caicos, US versus BVI. So the potential Virgin Islands derby. It could change, but this is pretty much what it's going to be. And this is round one. And unfortunately, this is it. 2 games, 2 of them out. It's like it always used to be with the lowest ranked teams. 2 of the 4, they're going to crash out in round one. Ryan, we speak about these preliminary rounds a lot. How do you feel about this one?
Well, I mean, it's a couple of sensational Minnow Nation ties. Double legger, winner of each progresses to round 2. But it's always a sad case when these teams get 2 World Cup qualification games and that's it. We've just seen it in AFC round 1 qualification, haven't we? Not much more to say, mate. I'm sure that these games with that World Cup qualification and that spot in the second round on the line, I think we'll see what would be 4. I think we'll see 4 cracking games here. Whichever way the 4 teams end up lining up and what the actual fixtures look like, because there could well be some changes based off of the November internationals, which is interesting.
Absolutely. And I know you're a BVI fan. I'm a Turks and Caicos Islands fan. Of course, I have the shirt on. Out of the 3 other teams, who would you like to see the British Virgin Islands go up against?
I'd prefer Anguilla based on their recent form. I thought they'd picked up actually earlier in the year, but they've had a really downward turn. So ideally, BVI to beat Dominica in the CNL game coming up in November, to then overtake TCA to then get that spot, because Anguilla will be bottom. So Anguilla, whoever is the highest out of the 4 teams, will be playing Anguilla. And I know BVI, USVI will be a close game. That's the way that I'd prefer it, my friend, to give the BVI boys a chance, or the best chance to getting to round 2. I think the other games against the 2 other teams are very close. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I see a strongest side there. I see a weakest side there, and I say 2 in the middle. They're all very close. That is worth saying. I do think Anguilla probably the weakest side, and I say that more from an attacking sense. They have got better defensively against sides of a similar ilk, but they still struggle to score goals. USVI, Turks and Caicos Islands, very close games I'd expect between those, and British Virgin Islands, based on recent form and the way that side's moving, probably the strongest. So as a Turks and Caicos Islands fan, I'm hoping things stay exactly as they are. But 2 sides will only get 2 games. And then we move on to round 2. And this is where it gets interesting. There we go. This is where it all changes. And this is where the teams play far more games. So 2 of the lowest ranked 4 will join then the 28 other competing nations from the CONCACAF region. This brings you to 30 total teams, and there are 6 groups of 5, just like the one you can see there. This is a straight shootout in terms of top 2 go through. This group format and everything I quite like. Very simple, very straightforward. Out of the 30 teams, we will be reduced down to just 12. Thoughts and comments on this?
No, it's really simple. They play each other once, so 2 home, 2 away, and it's luck of the draw. Who you get to play at home, who you get to play away. As you said, mate, you summed it up really well. The top 2 in each group then go through into the 3rd round.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is where, if a side progresses from round 1, I think they will very much struggle in round 2. I don't think we're suggesting a round 1 side can get to round 3, but I think what we're saying is you go from playing 2 games to 6. That's quite a big step. You're tripling the amount of World Cup qualification games you can play. There's an argument to say, would it be nicer to rejig the 30 into some smaller groups and play each team twice just for more games? But I don't mind this format. And I think this is where you will start to see a lot of the tenser matchups are between those Nations League B sides and some of the weaker Nations League A sides. I'm looking at Haiti. Can Haiti be a side that progress into round 3? They'll be up against, the top tier sides in League B and the lower sides in League A of the current Nations League format. I think that round 2 will be really, really interesting. And of course, we will be cheering on the League C sides, the St. Lucia's of this world as well, who are a League B side, although they're doing well at the moment, Puerto Rico, sides like that, as well as Cayman Islands, etc. But also we'll be keeping an eye out for who progresses into round 3. And this wraps it up. Round 3, 12 remaining teams going into 3 groups of 4. And I think this is why your point at the start of the video of having to rejig for the next World Cup is an important one, because actually after round 1, it's quite clean. 3 groups here, 4 teams, winner goes through, second place, two of the 3 second place teams go into the Interconfed playoffs. And it's like we see in all sorts of tournaments, just the best placed runners up in the group. So if you come runners up on goal difference but get lots of points, chances are you'll make the Interconfed playoffs, where obviously 2 sides come from the Concacaf region. So in this format, really, you don't have to win the group. If you happen to get a Jamaica in your group, I'm just thinking of a good team from the region, a Costa Rica, something like that, in your group, you still have a chance of at least getting to the Interconfed playoffs. What are your thoughts and feelings on round 3?
No, I like it, mate. I like it. And I actually just going through this format with you now, it makes me excited for when the first round's done and we then have the draw for the round 2s of this world. And then we're going to start getting a timeline as to when round 3 can be expected and all of that, and to start seeing it kind of be fleshed out. Because, I mean, it's all on the draw, isn't it, really? I know it's a really, really simple way of putting it, but you just hope for, I'm obviously speaking from with my lower ranked nation hat on here, you just want a draw where you've maybe got a one team that's maybe the standout that wins every. So, like as you said, a Panama or a Costa Rica or someone that's going to beat all of those middle of the road teams, and then can you scrap your way through round 2 into round 8? I don't know, man. I like this round. Yeah. It's great. The advancing to the Interconfed playoffs is quite nice, because it gives those teams that are fighting for the second spot, they can't rest on their laurels. They need to accrue as many points as possible to guarantee being one of the 2 highest scoring second place finishers. And then it's all up to the draw on the Interconfed spots. We don't know who the CONCACAF teams will play at this point, do we?
No, and of course the Interconfed, there'll probably be a whole separate video on how the Interconfed works, actually, because it's very different to the straight shootout that it used to be, 2v2 type situation, because there's a lot more teams involved, and how the format of that is going to work is definitely something for another video, because I think if you look at the CONCACAF region, and obviously we're yet to do our OSC video, but everyone knows there's 1.5 places, so one of the really small teams from Oceania will be in the Interconfeds. If you look at this, there's no USA, no Mexico, no Canada. It's unlikely that you have a Jamaica or a Honduras or a Panama even in these places. Can someone that's a really solid, kind of Haiti, kind of Guyana, kind of, I'm trying to think, a Bermuda, maybe even a Montserrat, if they pick up their form a little bit, can they get to a position where they can get to Interconfed? Because I think at that point it's really anyone's game. But it'll be exciting, because what you've got the opportunity for CONCACAF to, like you say, potentially have 8 teams, but also potentially have to have some new faces there as well, or new faces at least getting to some of the latter stages. And like you say, with round 2, it's a bit of a lot, like round 2 more than round 3. It's a lottery of the draw, because, one of the groups is going, well, 2 of the groups are going to have a round 1 side. You're also likely to have, let's just pick on Cayman Islands as another low-ranked standard Nations League C side. they're beatable for a lot of teams in League B.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at it, and if you are a St. Lucia who's just a cut above those, if you're a Montserrat, if you're a Guyana, Bermuda, the teams I've mentioned already, and of course, if you're like a Dominican Republic, they'll probably be thinking they've improved a lot over the last few years. If you get a decent draw, you've got every chance to sneak into second spot in one of those groups in round 2. And who knows how far you can go.
And with round 2, the interesting 2 at home, 2 away split, if you get your easier games away and can go there and win, and you've got, like, in theory, like, tough games at home, but you create an incredible atmosphere. Like, so Nicaragua, for example, they always have an unbelievable atmosphere when they play home games. So can they? And in fact, I'm sure most nations. Well, I can imagine, like, Belize, for example, like, again, someone that's at that League B standard. If they've got their away days against, let's say that they're in the same group as one of the lowest ranked 4 that go through, and maybe a Cayman Islands. I don't know how it quite works on the ranking side of things. They've got their away days there, and we've seen Belize go away to the likes of Turks and Caicos Islands and win 5-0, that sort of thing. But then they've got their home games against maybe a Trinidad and Tobago or whoever it might be, and they get the crowd behind them. And sometimes those bobbly pitches, they're uncomfortable. Those sort of games for the teams that are a little bit higher, they're uncomfortable, awkward fixtures. So it's all on the draw, mate. So, I mean, looking at the format, it's a cool format, and I can't wait for the draw to come to sort of bring it to life. I think that's my summary.
I think that as much as I don't love the fact that a couple of sides are only going to get to play a couple of games, I think you do have to take an appreciation pill of the fact that in CONCACAF you get the Nations League, and it happens a lot.
An appreciation pill.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah, no, nice.
I think you do have to pop a pill. I think you have to
pop a pill of appreciation.
Yeah. Sorry, I've distracted myself now. I enjoyed that.
No, it was good. It was good. I'm going to pop after this video. I'm going to rewatch this back and pop an appreciation pill as I do it, because I'm going to appreciate this moment, man. No, you're right. Nations League happens a lot, and we are blessed.
League, right?
Yeah,
for sure. You can't go, oh no, like they only play, like with the AFC. I'm a bit gutted that so many teams are out already. And it feels like you have to wait ages, and a lot of them play a lot of the same teams, I feel like, as well. Like Timor-Leste, they always play the same teams. They always get beat by the same teams. It's almost the same scoreline a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But with this region, you're going to have 2 of the bottom 4 are going to go out straight away. But they have played a lot of games this year already. Yeah. And they will next year as well. It's not like it used to be. If you go back with the Turks and Caicos Islands, for example, I'll just pick as the example for this, is they used to just play basically 2 games every 4 years, and then they'd be done because they'd lose. Yeah. They lost 12-4 in aggregate to St. Kitts once, and then that was it for 4 years. Whereas now it's less of a big deal in this region, I think. But yeah, overall, I don't hate the format, and I'm excited for it to kick off. And you know what? I'm excited for the Nations League in November, to finalise those bottom 4 places and who goes where and who will play each other in round 1. But that is, ladies and gents, how it works for CONCACAF for 2026 World Cup qualification. Get down in your comments your thoughts and feelings on the process as a whole, and how you feel about the 3 nations hosting, taking up 3 of the 6.5.5 spaces that CONCACAF gets. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Subscribes, likes, everything. They all help out. Check us out on Twitter as well. And we will see you next time.